Today on Rappler, transport officials blame MRT drivers for the Taft train accident. In a surprise move, the Supreme Court includes Solicitor General Francis Jardeleza in the shortlist for new Associate Justice. And Malaysian police foil bombing plans inspired by ISIS.
Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. Transportation officials blamed the drivers of the Metro Rail transit trains that derailed near Taft Station last Wednesday. The accident injured 36 people. Transportation Secretary Jun Abaya on Tuesday says the two train operators failed to follow safety procedures in the train's, quote, coupling or linking procedure. The trouble began when an MRT-3 train stalled between the Magallanes and Taft stations. According to standard operating procedure, another train, called the assisting train, should unload its passengers and push the stalled or distressed train to the nearest station. The distressed train turns off its brakes and is completely dependent on the assisting train. Abaya says one of the drivers cranked the joining mechanism after the coupling procedure, causing the first coach to detach from the second coach. One of the drivers said the trains unlinked at the peak or the highest point of the Magallanes station. This caused the train that lost power to free fall and bulldoze through the station's safety barriers. The Transportation Department also found out there was poor coordination between the drivers and the managers of the Magallanes and Taft stations. Abaya says the train drivers and others involved will face administrative charges. He adds the department will implement a retraining of MRT-3 personnel. Will Transport Secretary Jun Abaya resign? On Tuesday, he says he's not one to cling to power, but will leave his post if asked to.
It is a privilege for me to work in government. I wouldn't have lasted long under other presidencies. But again, text lang sa akin, I could go.
Abaya's been under fire after a series of accidents in the MRT-3, with commuter groups calling for his resignation. Malacanang Palace earlier defended Abaya. Presidential spokesman Sonny Coloma said the Transport Secretary still enjoys President Benigno Aquino's trust. The Supreme Court on Tuesday grants Solicitor General Francis Jardeleza's plea to be included in the list of nominees for the Associate Justice post. Voting 7-4, the Supreme Court en banc decides in favor of the government's top lawyer in his running conflict with Supreme Court Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno. Sereno earlier raised integrity issues against Jardeleza during the closed-door deliberations of the Judicial and Bar Council. Supreme Court spokesperson Theodore Teddy Tess says Sereno and Justice Antonio Carpio inhibited from voting while another unnamed justice was on leave. Widely considered as President Aquino's choice for the post, Jardeleza was dropped from the list by the Judicial Bar and Bar Council, or the JBC. The JBC vets and screens judicial nominees and is headed by Sereno. The Supreme Court decision on Jardeleza's petition comes a day after Aquino's constitutionally prescribed deadline. Aquino has 90 days to issue an appointment after the retirement of Justice Roberto Abad last May 22. This is Jardeleza's third attempt to join the 15-member High Court. Vice President Jejomar Binay and President Aquino may find themselves in rival camps again in the 2016 elections. But Makati Mayor Junjui Binay says his father will, quote, never leave the side of President Aquino. The elder Binay is the clear leader in early presidential polls. In a TV interview Monday, the younger Binay said his family does not take offense when Aquino clashes with the vice president on issues. The Binays and Aquino share a history that go back to the anti-Marcos movement in the 80s. After the dictator was toppled, Jejomar Binay was appointed Makati's officer in charge when the late former President Cory Aquino assumed the presidency in 1986. The younger Binay said his father proved to be a loyal friend and supporter to the Aquino matriarch. He said, "My father was willing to stake his life. He will take a bullet for the Aquino family." Heavy rain pours on Metro Manila Tuesday, but there's no typhoon within the Philippine area of responsibility. State Weather Agency Pagasa says the southwest monsoon caused the downpour. In its latest update, Weather Bureau Pagasa says as of 5 p.m., the Philippines will have partly cloudy to cloudy skies and experience isolated rain showers or thunderstorms. On Monday, Pagasa forecast occasional rains to hit the Ilocos region, Bataan, and Zambales. Check out Rappler's Project Agos microsite, a one-stop shop to help the public prepare better for disasters. Project Agos aims to raise awareness about climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction and management. You can see what to do before, during, and after natural disasters like floods and earthquakes. Visit www.rappler.com/Project Agos. Jeepneys are the most common public transportation for the Filipino commuter, but its days may be numbered. Pia Renada tells us why.
Jeepneys, the flamboyant king of Philippine roads, may just be dethroned. In this warehouse in Cavite, a new fleet of jeeps are being made. These e-shuttles are bigger, more spacious, and run completely on electricity. Aling Trineng says riding the e-shuttles is like a breath of fresh air.
Maluwag. Komportable, nakakatayo ka.
Paano po siya naiiba dun sa typical jeep na sinasakay?
Hindi maingay.
But it's different in other ways.
In traditional jeepneys, they're at the back. And what this does is passengers on the road who want to get on the vehicle, on the jeep, would have to go on the road. So that's why we changed it and put it on the side, so they'll be on the curb, on the sidewalk. And for us, this will be more safe.
Okay.
Roberto Martin, president of Jeepney Driver Association Pasang Mazda, says it's a big improvement. His group invested in the first 30 shuttles and traded in their old jeeps.
Sa nakita ko rito at iminaneho ko to, wala po lahat yung nararamdaman kong init ng makina, yung polusyon, higit sa lahat yung presyo ng petrolyo, wala na kaming problema. At ito na po yung tinatawag kong total solution sa problema na matagal naming naranasan sa malumang typical na jeep.
30 Comet shuttles are in various stages of production. They will be on the streets of Metro Manila in the next few months. Their first run will be in Quezon City, from SM North EDSA to the Katipunan LRT station via Luzon Avenue. There will be designated stops, and passengers will use a card with credits to pay for a ride. The fare will be the same as any jeepney. Shuttle drivers get paid a monthly salary with benefits.
Comment 1.
Well, usually if you have a high-tech product that you're bringing somewhere, you usually develop a product for the rich. But what we like about this product, me and my colleagues, is that we're designing the best for the least.
The future has left the garage. Pia Renada, Rappler, Cavite.
Malaysian police foiled bombing plans drawn up by radical Islamic militants inspired by terrorist group Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, or ISIS. Counterterrorism official Ayub Khan on Tuesday says 19 suspected militants arrested from April to June were planning to bomb night spots. Bars in the Carlsberg Brewery near Kuala Lumpur were targeted because drinking alcohol is forbidden in Islam. Khan adds the all-Malaysian group had visions of establishing a hardline Southeast Asian Islamic caliphate spanning Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, the Philippines, and Singapore. The group planned to travel to Syria to be trained by ISIS. Some began raising money via Facebook to travel to Syria under the pretext of humanitarian work. The plotters include professionals and 2 housewives. Charges against the 7 include promoting terrorism to possession of homemade rifles. The Sufan group estimates about 12,000 foreign fighters joined ISIS in the past 3 years, more than the 10,000 who fought in Afghanistan in a decade in the late 80s. ISIS overran large swaths of Iraq in a ruthless campaign to establish a Middle Eastern caliphate. A new 24-hour ceasefire takes effect in Gaza Tuesday after Israeli and Palestinian negotiators agreed to extend a 5-day truce. Both sides agree to extend talks to work on a long-term deal in what many hope will permanently end weeks of bloodshed in Gaza. More than 2,000 Palestinians and 67 Israelis have died. Talks in Cairo focus on an Egyptian proposal that meets some of the Palestinian demands, like easing Israel's blockade on Gaza. Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 6, Pope Francis says collective action through the United Nations should stop unjust aggression in Iraq. The Pope earlier emphasized how it's, quote, acceptable to stop an unjust aggressor, but implicitly criticizes the U.S. airstrikes in Iraq, saying one nation cannot decide alone how to end the aggression. And at number 10, tennis champ Rafael Nadal will miss this year's U.S. Open because of a right wrist injury. He's the U.S. Open's defending champion. This is not the first time for Nadal to miss the tournament. In 2012, a knee injury kept him out of commission. Nadal was also forced to pull out of the Toronto and Cincinnati Masters because of the injury he suffered in training last month. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter, which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page. That crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have affected our readers and viewers the most emotionally. These 10 stories have gotten the most number of votes. If you take a look, the story today, BINAY willing to take a bullet for the AQUINO'S. Interestingly, 57% annoyed, 25% amused, 1% sad. President Aquino says he's open to a second term. 42% happy, 56% angry, 2% sad. The sad bringing out the mood of the story that's gotten the most number of votes in the last 24 hours. Ramon Bautista declared persona non grata in Davao City. 19% angry, 33% sad. That gray bringing out the mood of the day. Today, most people are sad. Well, that is Rappler's Newscast for today, Tuesday, August 19, 2014. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.